There are thousands of diverse and beautiful cultures around the world, each with their unique practices, mannerisms, and art. Physical surroundings have influenced the way these cultures have developed, but one of the most important factors that can be used to explain human behavior and actions is religion. From the way government is formed to cultural traditions, all the way to art, religion influenced all these aspects of society, therefore making religion one of the most important factors when it comes to cultural and societal development. Our journey through learning religious cultures will take us from the Middle East to South Asia all the way to Greece. The three main religions from these regions being looked into are Greek mythology, Islam, and Hinduism, where we will delve into just how impactful these were to their surrounding cultures. Out of the many ways religion has influenced society, one of them is by affecting the laws put in place based on their respective religions. Islam is the dominant religion in the Middle East, where it holds significant cultural influence. Specifically, rules in the religion are implemented strictly into the lives of the people by the government of certain countries. The interpretation of the requirements of Islam are made into laws that all must follow under the Islamic state of particular countries. According to an article by the Middle East Institute, Iran is implementing a law which requires women to wear the headscarf, which is a practice many Muslim women participate in. Although 60% of these women do not identify as Muslim, they are still required to wear it. The punishment in Iran for a woman not wearing a hijab is 15 years in prison. Other laws in place involve women not being allowed to travel without her husband's permission and restrictions when getting a job. These laws are in place due to the interpretation of the Islamic religion by the state. In this folio from a Quran manuscript, we can see that their values and rules follow into their art as well. Here we see text from the Quran written in an artistic form, meant to display their beliefs and rules in a form of art. It is common to find many Islamic works of art involving verses from the Quran. In India, they also created laws from their beliefs. In ancient India, the Hindu caste system was implemented on society. In an article called Hinduism by Judy Johnson, it is stated that everyone was required to follow out the roles they were born into, and if they did well, they would be rewarded in the next life. However, if they were to delve away from their assigned role, they would be punished in their next reincarnation. This painting is known as A Brahmin and His Wife and was created in the late 18th to early 19th century. A Brahmin was the highest caste achievable, and it is shown in this man's clothes and the way he's painted what his status is. The Hindu caste system consisted of 4 occupations known as Varnas: Brahmins, the priests, Kshatriyas, warriors, Vaishyas, merchants and common people, and Shudras, which were the servants. There was also a 5th class known as the Untouchables, which handled waste and dead bodies. These Varnas evolved into different castes, and the system lasted until 1947, when India received independence from Britain and officially banned the system. Unfortunately, the system continues to influence Indian society today, leaving many to face prejudice if perceived to come from a lower caste from before the ban. Tradition is yet another aspect of culture being influenced by religion, where most traditions evolved from and are based on these spiritual beliefs. The Greeks had many cultural traditions all revolving around their beliefs in the gods. Almost every aspect was done in an attempt to please and celebrate the gods, creating many celebrations, festivals, and rituals done by the ancient people. An example of ancient Greek tradition is the ritual of birth, in which a child is carried around a hearth in order to receive a blessing from the goddess Hestia. Another very famous tradition is the scapegoat tradition. After each natural disaster, the Greeks believed it was wrath from the gods. To atone for their sin of angering them, they would pick the ugliest person in their city and kill them in humiliating ways or leave them to die. This is very similar to the Jewish tradition of scapegoating, where an actual goat was used. These traditions were brought about simply due to the belief in their gods, which thankfully isn't practiced anymore. This lead figure of a winged goddess is a common find in the household shrines of an ancient Greek home, in which each Greek had their own house god. It was tradition for each home to have a specific god to worship in their personal shrine, and the god was to protect the home and be treated as family. This specific lead figure is of the goddess Nike, who represents victory. Hinduism has also created a rich culture surrounding their own religious beliefs. Many ancient holidays that have made their way into the modern day include Holi, a celebration of colors, Diwali, and Navaratri. Many of these celebrations are today celebrated by even non-Hindus, showing how religion can have a deep effect on the surrounding culture. Though they may not believe in Hinduism, many partake in these cultural events if they live near that area due to Hinduism's effect. This mosque lamp was created for Ida King's mausoleum, showing emblems and designs of their ceremonial roles. Even their simple lamps for the mosques were decorated beautifully with the symbols that were meant to display the Islamic traditions and roles they had. Much Islamic art portrays the roles and rules they were expected to follow. Not only did religions have a huge impact on laws and traditions, but it also greatly influenced what type of art was being created in that time. The Greeks are probably the first to come to mind when thinking about sculptures. Their immense talent in creating these realistic figures was used to make statues of Greek gods and goddesses everywhere. The Pantheon is one of the most famous locations to view this beautiful work. As it was originally a temple, the Greeks made sure that they adorned it beautifully. Their religious art even seeped into their literature, such as when Homer wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey. Hardly any art involved anything that didn't regard their mythology. Homer is the most famous ancient Greek poet recognized for his works. Both of his epic poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey, were heavily inspired by Greek myths, implementing their gods and mythical creatures. Even when it came to storytelling, religion influenced how that story would take place. In this terracotta hydra, which is a water jar, we can see the story of Dionysus and the nymphs becoming his followers. A satyr, a class of woodland god, is shown holding Dionysus between women. Many mythological stories were depicted on these jars, which were a typical household item, with no ritualistic purpose other than getting water, showing just how much their religion influenced their art. Hinduism also has many artistic symbols attributed to their beliefs. The Wheel of Life, known as Samsara, is one example, where a beautifully painted wheel displays life, death, and rebirth. The lotus represents creation, and a conch shell depicts a demon the god Krishna defeated. These symbols are often used in Hindu art to display deep meanings about their religion. This sculpture of a seated Ganesha, the god of auspiciousness, is a common find in Hindu households, where the dwellers often have a favorite god. This art form was used to honor the gods, which is why much of their art revolves around them. There are many sculptures and figures of nearly every Hindu god, which can be used for worship or simply to respect them. Of all the influences on society throughout time, religion has proved to be the most impactful. Cultural traditions were created for these religions, and governmental laws and orders were put into place with the basis of the moral laws for each culture's religion. Even the way buildings, sculptures, and art were made was all also revolved around religion. Religions have seeped into society, shaping almost everything about each diverse culture around the world. I can guarantee, had these countries had different beliefs, nearly every aspect of them would be completely different.